2 days later, is it still tough to process what happened?
Yeah. It's a tough feeling around the room right now. That's just the reality of it. And when you're that close to advancing and playing another day to the reality of where we are today, it's not a good feeling. So. That's sports, and sometimes you're on the wrong side of it, and that night we were.
And Brayden, how do you move on from it? I'm sure anything you do the next couple of days, you just keep thinking about it. I know you've been a part of tough losses, but how did you move on?
I mean, I haven't moved past it right now. The feeling around yesterday with the guys wasn't good, and around the locker room today, it's not great. It's not fun cleaning out your locker and knowing just how close you were. It's sometimes in a series you're gonna get dominated and you walk out of the rink saying they were just the better team, and we felt like we were right there with them, obviously right to the end, and that one's going to take a while to get over. Just because you only have so many cracks that compete for the Stanley Cup, and we were that close to knocking off the best team in the league, and here we are today talking about it instead. So it's obviously a disappointing feeling, and something that we'll have to obviously think about all over the summer. But at the same time, some positives that we can take out of the year for sure, and we can learn. You can learn from just the run we had and kind of how tough the league is and how how hard playoffs are, and it just shows you the fine line of winning and losing and how hard it is to win.
Yeah. Jordan, kind of for you, same thing. Is with all that you guys got done in the regular season and the finish that got you into the playoffs, how does the feeling change when the season ends like that?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, obviously last year, counting down the days, there's 4 or 5 games left, so you're kind of, waiting for the season to end. And, obviously it's a lot different this year. We go right to Game 7, and then, like Schenner said, we're, 1 goal away from, continuing to play. And yeah, it's just kind of like a shock that we're just not playing anymore. So yeah, it's tough.
Jimmy, I know for you, what is this, 15-game window or whatever that you got to experience here? What has this experience meant for you, and what have you learned about what it takes to play at this level?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was the best experience of my life. You don't get many opportunities like this in life, and it's a fun experience. But at the end of the day, you want to win as a player. Like these guys said, you're so close, and you come up just short like that, But even, besides that, just the amount of respect that I have for the guys in that locker room and the coaching staff is unbelievable. Just from the day I stepped foot in this rink, every single guy has been, the nicest to me. Even when I make mistakes, I'm trying to learn things. It's like bringing me up. It's every single little thing that could have went right. Learning from these guys has went right, so I think it's a great experience, obviously, and you learn so much as a player.
Brayden, is this a different team now after the run with Monty and the success you had? Is going into next year, you're now a playoff team?
I mean, your season's over, and you're never a playoff team until you are again next year, and that's kind of the mentality you have to have. It's a tough league. Do we feel like we're in a better spot now than we were 3 or 4 months ago? Absolutely. But at the same time, we have to learn from this year, just kind of how hard it is to. We have to learn from this year how hard it is to, make the playoffs, and we feel we will get better this summer. We're going to learn from the experiences we have this year, and you have to find ways to get better in the summer, and that's just individually. And then when you do that, and you kind of hold each other accountable, kind of throughout the summer, that's how you get better as a team, kind of throughout the year.
Brayden and Jordan, along those lines, I was curious what you feel like the summer, the theme is going to be. I mean, considering where you guys came over that 3 or 4 months, but also the feeling that you have right now coming off the series. I mean, is it more so the things that you guys have accomplished or the things that you want to do next?
Oh, you always look back on the year, and I think that, we grew as a team, definitely. Guys have taken massive steps, whether it was maturity or leadership or holding each other accountable. And at the end of the day, when you do that off the ice, you feel more connected and more together, and that translated on the ice. So, like I said, we feel like we're have taken a step in the right direction, and we have to continue to do that in the locker room. And that's, like I said, finding ways in the summer, to get better, to be better, and come into the year, next year, expecting to be a good team, and but at the same time, it's a tough league. Nothing comes for free, and in the back of the mind, you just can't look that you had a good 25 game run and you made the playoffs. I think this is just only going to fuel us to want more here coming up in the future.
For Brayden and Jordan, just Jim Montgomery mentioned post-game, Game 7, about how there was a change in culture this year for you guys. It's something we talked about the last couple of years when things weren't going well. I'm just curious, when did you guys start to feel that culture change? How difficult was it to change it? And why were you guys able to change it this year?
Yeah, like we've said in the past, I guess the culture was kind of slipping away a little bit, and I think that was our biggest thing this year, was trying to, build that culture back up again. And, I feel like it didn't just happen, in one day. It was a build up over, I'd say the last couple months of, just everyone just sacrificing and, just really building our identity as a group, and, building that resiliency. And yeah, I think it's just, accumulated over the past couple months. And, like Brayden said, it's, went to Game 7, one goal away from going to the next series. But, obviously we have a lot to look forward to, and, we want to be better next year. So.
Yeah, I would say with culture, it's a funny word because, there's so much that goes into it. And once you have culture is always changing. There's going to be new pieces in next year and new faces, and that's just kind of the reality of how everything is. And I feel like the foundation of the St. Louis Blues, everyone almost has that feeling of they know what it looks like and knows what it feels like. And obviously, culture is a tough thing to build up. And then, once you have it, it's even harder to keep too, right? You have to keep on. It's an everyday process to you continue to have the right culture, and that's habits, and that's guys holding each other accountable, and it's details, and like I said, you can't let things slip. I would say you can't let things slip just. Because things change so fast. So, but at the end of the day, we feel like we're in the right direction, and like I said, we have taken steps in the right direction. Now we have to continue on working on it.
And just a quick follow-up to that for you, Jimmy. Just as a newcomer, when you came into this team, how much did you feel that culture right away from everybody in the room?
Instantly. You can kind of get a feel for guys pretty quick, and I'd say it starts with Schenn up top. Just the amount of ability he has to kind of push forward this team. I feel like the past month I've been here was so impactful, and it goes down the list to Rue too, and like everyone in the locker room just cares so much. And like I said, it starts up top, and the culture has been there since the day I stepped in that locker room. And like I said, I have so much respect for that, and it doesn't happen within every team. Like I've been with teams that don't have that type of culture, and being able to, step in and kind of feel that, it was, one of the greatest things for sure.
Hey, Jordan, you came back and produced after that hit by Stanley. Just how tough was it to kind of respond after that? And after being away from the playoffs for a couple of years, what did you learn about this playoff experience for yourself?
Yeah, obviously they got a tough team over there, and we got a tough team, and, we knew going into the series it was going to be a battle, and you just got to be ready for everything. They're going to be trying to crush us. We're trying to crush them, and it's going to be a battle. And so just sticking with it. And, not getting frustrated, when getting hit and when guys are just, battling super hard. And I think I've learned a lot in this series, compared to the past, I guess, is just to compete in the battle and, just how much everyone puts into, this series. And it was just, it was a tough series. And, I mean, like we said, it's just we're right there. And obviously it's not a great feeling, being done with the season right now. So.
Two more guys.
Jimmy, I was just thinking, you've gone through this twice with Minnesota losing in the NCAA, so this has been a rough six weeks or so for you. But what have you learned in this time? How have you become a better player in this taste of the NHL?
I mean, yeah, I think as a player, it's all about experiences and going through things like that. Obviously, I've lost in my life and I've won in my life, and it's good to go through that with teammates, honestly. To kind of feel that experience with them, and losing twice in the same season is not fun. It's more than you want to lose in one season. But you learn so much as a player, and that's how you use for fire in the summer to train and get better. And that's something that it doesn't come all the time. So I mean, you use it for fuel to the fire and you move forward.
For Brayden, you talked, I believe in your first answer about the positives from this season and what you can take from this season. I know the sting of what happened, less than 48 hours ago still looms, but when you look at where this team is this year compared to where it was in the last couple years, what can this room take away positively from what you guys have done, really coming out of the Four Nations and really putting a run together with a young group?
Yeah. Like the positives, like we talked about, we feel like we have built something back up in our locker room where guys are going out there and playing hard for one another, playing hard for the organization, the city, the fans, a little bit of everything. And that's what ultimately wins you hockey game. You have the feeling of the room of, you've been on teams where there's a little bit of, fakeness or whatever of the word might be, where guys are putting on their gear and sometimes guys play a little bit for themselves, and we feel like in this locker room guys are playing for one another. And when you play for one another, you can have the ability to put on runs like we did there down the stretch to get us into the playoffs. Like I said, we feel like we did a great job of holding each other accountable. That accountability is such an important piece in a locker room, because showing up to the rink that the guy next to you is going to give it everything he has for that game. And I think that at the end of the day, we had a bunch of guys that were gamers that are willing to lay it on the line for each other, and I think guys feel that. So like I said, there's lots of positives to take out of this year compared to where we were last year, a year and a half ago, or even what people for saying what should be done with this team compared to what we're talking about now. Like I said, it's a feeling of like we're trending in the right direction, and we feel with a big summer and guys maturing and guys getting better, that we feel like we can be better next year, and we expect to be better next year.